You're listening to the American edition of The Voice of Russia. I'm Rick Young in Washington.
And I'm Daniel Cinna in London.
And this is Angela Davis in Moscow. Hello to you, Rick.
How you doing, Angela?
I'm good. We're the first day back from our holidays, our very long holidays. So this is the first working day. And actually, we've all really sort of had a chance to rest. I think we're actually happy to be back at work. I know that you've got a lot of work going on and a lot of debates and things going on around the gun situation in the States.
Yes.
And I think you have an update on...
Yeah, big meeting nationally. Vice President Joe Biden, he's going to be meeting with the National Rifle Association and a range of, or a bunch of other groups this week as he heads up President Obama's task force on gun violence. And as you know, all of this came after that horrific events in Newtown, Connecticut a couple of weeks ago when 27 people were murdered, slaughtered in that horrific assault rifle shooting spree. But there's going to be, again, a lot of talk and a lot of work on seeing what can be done to prevent that kind of tragedy that we saw there. So, again, Vice President Biden is meeting with a number of groups, including the representative from the National Rifle Association, which, of course, opposed President Barack Obama in his reelection, claiming that he would basically push for tighter gun laws. But they will be attending this meeting. We also understand that President Obama will be meeting with some groups with the video game and entertainment industry regarding their issues with violence, obviously violence in video games and movies. But some other cities, as opposed to just states, are making some headway into attempting to get tighter controls on assault rifles. Burlington, Vermont, the city council passed a resolution to present its ban on assault rifles within the city limits for a public hearing. That passed last night. And so it appears that a number of initiatives are going nationally and at the local level to make sure that there aren't any more terrible events as we saw with those at least 7 to 12 mass shootings that we saw last year, and of course the worst being the Newtown massacre. But since we're also seeing the second day of the trial of James Holmes, the accused shooter in the Aurora, Colorado event last July, where up to 12 people were shot dead and scores of others wounded in his alleged shooting spree at that Colorado movie theater at the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises. While that's going on, there was a major blowout on national TV during Piers Morgan's TV show. That's a CNN host who comes on about 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He had on Alex Jones, who's a very, very strong advocate against gun control and anti-government type. And let's listen to what this exchange, how this exchange occurred between Piers Morgan and radio talk show host Alex Jones.
Hey, wait a minute. I have FBI crime statistics that come out a year late, 2011. 20+% crime drop in the last 9 years. Real violent crime, because more guns means less crime. Britain took the guns 15, 16 years ago, tripling of your overall violent crime. True, we have a higher gun violence level, but overall muggings, stabbings, deaths, those men raped that woman in India to death with an iron rod 4 feet long. You can't ban the iron rods. The guns, the iron rods, Pierce, didn't do it. The tyrants did it. Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Fidel Castro took the guns. Hugo Chavez took the guns. And I'm here to tell you, 1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms. Doesn't matter how many lemmings you get out there on the street begging for them to have their guns taken. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand? That's why you're going to fail, and the establishment knows no matter how much propaganda, the Republic will rise again when you attempt to take our guns.
Now, that was radio talk show host Alex Jones talking to CNN host Piers Morgan. This has been on social media all over the place. A lot of reaction to his outburst against Piers Morgan. Does he have a
lot of support, this guy? I'm just wondering.
Well, he has his own talk show. He's on about 150 radio stations. He's got a very a couple busy websites. And he does have his, of course, hardcore followers. But as Piers Morgan said, he stayed quiet during that exchange, saying that he felt that Alex Jones was a great example of why we should have gun control. So he might have accomplished he might have accomplished his point of view, saying that there needs to be more intelligent control of especially assault rifles in this country. Now, Alex Jones also is an individual who started a White House petition to get Piers Morgan deported back to Britain because Morgan says that, or Alex Jones accuses Morgan of attempting to trample on the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment, which is, of course, the right to bear arms. So it was a rather interesting time on TV to see this exchange between a person who adamantly believes that there should be no gun control and that no person should have their guns restricted, and of course the more moderate Piers Morgan on his TV show on CNN attempting to trying to make some sense of this. Let's get to your story, because you've got an interesting story about a Moscow real estate mogul who's in trouble in Cambodia. Why?
Yeah, it sounds it sounds like one of these National Geographic shows about people getting in jail in third world countries. But yes, Sergei Polonsky. He is famous. He used to be the head of the Mirax Group construction firm, and they are very well known because they were one of the major investors and developers in the Moscow City project, which was pretty much Russia's first huge skyscraper part of town that was built. And now, unfortunately, that company collapsed in 2011, and Polonsky was quoted by a Russian newspaper as saying that he's no longer a businessman, but he was in Cambodia. It seems that he's involved in a resort that's being built there, and he was there for the holidays, and it seems that something got out of hand. He is now being charged with illegal imprisonment, with threatening violence, and this could land him in jail for 3 years if he's found guilty. Now, he was with two other Russians. They were in a boat coming back from an island, and there was sailors on the boat. They were ferrying them from the resort to the mainland, and they allegedly threatened the sailors with a knife. They locked them in a cabin, and some reports are saying that they forced these sailors to jump into the sea. And now they're claiming to be innocent. I have no idea. It sounds, this all happened on the 30th. I don't know how out of hand their New Year's celebration actually got. There were some conflicts and some I guess what they were saying was misunderstandings surrounding fireworks that they launched nearby a military base. And they're saying that they were all innocent, that this is just part of that misunderstanding that they had with the Cambodian militaries over the fireworks that they had launched. It seems like it sounds kind of like they were having a very wild celebration that kind of got out of hand. Of course, this investigation is just being launched now. The Cambodian authorities just today launched this investigation, and there's two other Russians who are also involved in this. The second one his last name is Baglai, and also a man named Karachinsky, and they all could go to jail for 3 years, Cambodian prison. They're now currently, in pretrial detention in Cambodia. And now this guy, especially Polonsky, he's very sort of well known. He's sort of a scandalous kind of guy, other than being this real estate mogul, part of this Mirax Group, and part of, one of the people who's in charge of, or one of the developers of Moscow City. He was also on a TV show recently, and in that show there was a huge fight that erupted, and that's when millionaire and I guess you can say Russian tycoon, who owns a couple of British newspapers and also has some press holdings in Russia, as well as he was in the banking business. Now, this guy punched him on the air. It was a really crazy thing. It was just a fight that erupted all of a sudden. At that time, Polonsky tried to charge Lebedev, and now, actually, to this day, Lebedev of course, is claiming that the charges are politically motivated, and but he could face 2 years in jail for punching this guy on national television. And obviously, this was something that was seen by everybody. But here we have Polonsky in Cambodia, and if what they're alleging is true, he forced these sailors at knife point to jump into the sea.
Well, keep us posted on that rather unusual story, and of course, we'll chat with you
tomorrow.
Yes, a
very unusual and scandalous story.
Well, today the London Underground has turned 150. The first stretch of the world-famous network, it opened up on January the 9th, 1863, when the first passenger journeys took place the following day, but the network opened up the first part of it in 1863. There's a whole series of events being planned to mark it, including a series of heritage rail trips on steam trains going through, where usually you would see electric trains travelling through platforms. Passengers will now see some steam trains going through. There's also going to be some, the Royal Mint is going to print some special coins to mark the day, and also a set of special stamps for those enthusiasts to mark the day as well. The London Mayor, Boris Johnson, in his usual style, has said that the London Tube annihilates distance, liquidates traffic, and is the throbbing cardiovascular system of the greatest city on earth. So it's being really welcomed today. Some interesting facts to mark the day. The average number of miles travelled by each tube train every year is equivalent to 4.5 times travelling around the world. Every year there's over 1 million journeys travelled on the tube. That's around 135 trips per person, per every man, woman and child in London. Not only that, 11 and a half days, that's the average time that every Londoner spends commuting each year. 11 and a half days, with around half of that underground. So that's around 5 days spending in travels. And also the longest part of the network is around, the whole network is around 249 miles long, which is around 5 million Oyster cards being laid end to end. So some very interesting facts coming out today to mark the 150th anniversary of the London Tube.
Overall, though, as you know, most major cities need or we call it the metro here, you call it the tube, the subway. Any plans to expand at all?
I think at the moment it couldn't get any larger. I was speaking to a transport expert and a London expert this morning, and they were saying the tube network is far larger than a lot of other networks around the world. It covers a greater distance, most of it admittedly north of the Thames, with very little of it below the Thames, but it covers such a vast distance that to try and upgrade the system is going to be incredibly difficult. And one commentator this morning telling me that because of that, there's very little that you can do to upgrade such a large network, whereas systems in Moscow, the stations are far more upgraded, they're far more modern, something that the London Underground might not be able to do. The only developments we might see in London will be driverless trains. Boris Johnson, the London Mayor, relatively keen on bringing that through quite soon. Some systems are already running automatically, although you do have drivers sitting in the front cab, such as the Jubilee line, that is run automatically via a system, but you have a driver in the front seat, not only for passenger reassurance. I don't think that the London public are quite ready to have their trains run for them by a computer, but also for safety as well.
How about the amount of people who use it every year? Is it increasing?
We are seeing the numbers increasing, not only because many of them aren't Londoners, they are passengers, tourists travelling to London. Around 1 million passengers a day aren't Londoners. That's people travelling on the tube every day. And at the moment, every year, we seem to be seeing an increase. Last year, the latest figures out showing that over 1 million passengers travel on the tube. The exact number is 1,170 million.
Wow, that's a lot of people. Obviously, this must surge in the summertime, right?
It is indeed.
When you've got so many like sporting events going on, much like Wimbledon or something like that.
Exactly. Seasons and sporting games do see the numbers increase on the London Underground compared to usual commuter days.
Wow. Daniel, do most Londoners actually use the tube? Because I know in Moscow, many people do use it, but it's also sort of considered not really comme il faut. And many people are proud of the fact that they have not been in the metro for ages and are willing to stand in huge traffic jams. So it's more prestigious to ride around in your car.
I think in London, you couldn't really get around very quickly without using the London Underground. It is so extensive. You can get from the northern part of the London Underground to the southern part in around about an hour, and that's travelling a very large distance. And as Boris Johnson said today, it is the throbbing cardiovascular system of the greatest city on earth.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Daniel. Of course, we'll be chatting with you about that again. Transportation is always an issue in any city you live in the world. Thanks a lot.
Indeed. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.